Okay,
is?
I'm Frankie Scorpion, and I own InkVasion Magazine, InkVasion Media, Ink Together dating site, the Tattoo Dating Game TV show pilot, and also Tattoo View, the podcast.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's never little
You're a
with
busy
me. I
woman.
like to do things full blown.
Yeah, and we talked a couple weeks ago for about an hour and a half or so, and it just became apparent that you're so embedded in the culture and you've done so many cool things and you have so many cool stories about it. Super happy to have you on here. Just wanted to learn a little bit more about you, what you're doing now, and then some of the stuff you've done in the past. Because again, it seems like the last 20 years you've been very embedded in the tattoo culture and done some amazing things.
Thank you. Yes. I've had a pretty interesting life in general, but when I started my tattoo life, it really gave me a rebirth to someone who I didn't know who I was. Somebody who could succeed and create big things. And I never knew I was a creative person until I really started in the tattoo industry. So I originally started as I launched the first sisterhood in the tattoo industry. And within that, it grew really quickly. We had chapters in almost every state in 3 different countries. I had a great team, and we all kind of learned from each other. We've had our little bits and battles, but we've overcome all those battles. We're still friends to this day, even though I shut down the sisterhood in 2010. I was able to do a lot of really interesting things like productions, marketing, and public relations in the industry. I also was a video journalist where I would do video hosting at conventions and stuff. But instead of the basic questions that most people ask, I would really dive deep into the mindset, the ways they did art and other ways they tried art besides just tattooing, who influenced them, and also how they feel the structure of the tattoo industry is, and how it's flowing and evolving and or regressing in certain people's opinions. And through that, I was executive producer for a tattoo convention in Long Island, for somebody I really enjoyed working for, Tattoo Lou. And he gave me the capabilities of doing my big long dream, which is the first tattoo awards, not a tattoo contest, but an awards, the elite amongst the elite in their category. And that was a lot of fun. Within that same weekend, I also filmed and produced the Tattoo Wives TV show pilot, but I shelved it. Way too dramatic. So, but I'm going to unshelf it soon. So, jump forward a little bit. I took a little mini break to be a mommy and to evolve as a human being and heal my own personal traumas, as well as learn a lot, which I learned a whole lot. And I was able to partner up with my friend Chris Potts, who runs the Battlefield Tattoo Convention. And he's a very sincere and kind person. And he convinced me to come out of hiding and to start in the tattoo industry. Once I trained my son for 2 years to get him to become a latchkey kid, which, by the way, parents, you all need to do that because our kids are like doing nothing these days. I was able to merge with him and to create a magazine called InkVasion with our other partner, Jim Miller, who's a good friend of his who handles all the website stuff, which is great because Chris is so kind and so sincere. He's just got that trusting face. So when he's networking in the industry, his kids are all grown, so he has the capability of doing that. It's great because people take a warming to him. He's a really kind person. I can be a little bit of a bitch at times, it's in my nature. But I'm very strong minded and strong headed. So with that comes a lot of creativity and a lot of like moments where you just decompress for like a day or two or a week sometimes if I have to. So I handle all the other productions. He does advertisements and he writes some of the articles as well as me. But what I like about our magazine that sets us apart from the rest is the fact that we're a socially conscious magazine that covers tattooed lifestyle and cultures. So we believe in old school ethics and educating the audience of tattoo history and who are the elites, and understand the pecking order that not all tattoo TV celebrities are elite. Some of them are exceptional and some of them are mediocre at best, but they make great TV. And I'm grateful for that because although it might seem a little washed out, um, it's given us the capability of being popular in the sense of we're not being as judged as we used to, which is a really good thing. Sure, it's getting a little diluted as far as the talent, but people just need to do their homework and really choose their artists by their quality of work and their work ethics, not by how many friends they get on followers on Instagram or TikTok, or just because they're an award-winning artist in a small convention with not that many other people to compete with. They should still check their work to make sure they're really an award-winning artist of the elites, and know their history. So with that, we have a tattoo history fun facts, which is done by Marvin Markowitz, which is Bowery Stan's nephew, which Bowery Stan is one of the old timers, along with Ed Hardy, Sailor Jerry, Mark Mahoney, Tattoo Lou Sr., Philadelphia Eddie, Lyle Tuttle, and tons more that I can't even, mention them all. Oh, Shanghai Kate, of course. She's the godmother of tattooing. So he gives us little blurbs of things that he learned along the way, and with old like vintage pictures, which is really cool. It gives a really nice touch. And then we have other people that have been in the industry and the tattoo convention industry. So when you're in the industry, it's all good, but when you're in the circuit of the conventions, it's a whole different ball game and a whole set of different family connections. So we've got Chico from Art to Life, which two girls came out of his shop that actually went to Ink Masters, which are phenomenal artists. Also, one of them is Tattoo Baby. I'm sorry, I forgot the other one. But I know Tattoo Baby personally. That's why I remembered her. And then we have Dawn Bennett, which is married to Marshall Bennett, which is a reputable artist and has been known for years, and who still tattoos and gives seminars with the best of the best, like Bob Tyrell. We also have some influencers because we're keeping it young and cutting edge, just because some of us are over 50, not all of us are over 50. We're fresh and new, and there's so much cool, fresh talent. So we really try to be all inclusive and really promote and try to discuss the different avenues. Like Chico, he covers the urban industry, so he covers how Hispanics, Blacks, Asians have conquered and really moved forward in a white male dominated industry. We have a lot of female articles that we really induce in there to show how women have cut through that whole barrier that we used to go through. There was a time even like 15 years ago where men wouldn't give women apprenticeships, which is completely uncalled for. Meanwhile, girls are rocking the industry right now. They're like amazing, which is awesome. And then we also do fashion and music, and we have a great fashion editor who's going to be doing a fashion show during Fashion Week in 2024 fall. So that should be fun. Our music team, we're going to be doing a battle of the bands across the nation and be filming that as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we have a lot of cool things like hot picks, editors' hot picks, which we choose maybe our favorite book written by a heavily tattooed person. One of my all-time favorites is my favorite humanitarian or activist. So we want to hear people's stories. It's not just about tattoo artists. It's about people who are living the life as a heavily tattooed person, which, have strived and moved forward, like nurses and first responders, entrepreneurs, masters and moguls. Yes, we'll have celebrities like we have Evan Seinfeld on our first issue, which is a good dear friend of mine, and he's a celebrity, but we're not always going to have celebrities, and we're not always going to have fashion models. Sometimes we'll just have a couple that's well known in the industry or that's a mover or shaker behind the scenes. Sometimes we'll have an entrepreneur. So we're really going to mix it up a little bit. But what I could say we're definitely doing is that although we're doing model searches in certain areas to become video vixens at the conventions we're attending, we feel that women shouldn't have to be objectified and sexualized to show their worth. So we're dedicating every year a women's issue where all of the articles are only of women. So that's one of my all-time favorites. We are going to have Tattoo Socialite of the Year, but that'll be further down the road. So with all the Tattoo Magazine thing, which you can get the digital for free online at www.inkvasionmagazine.com, or you can buy a printed copy from there as well in our other merchandise. but we're going to be attaching that to our Tattoo View podcast. So the long interviews would be done via podcast, and then you'll get a smaller version of that article of that interview into the article of the magazine, and then we'll also be posting blogs and shooting it all across the board on our social media, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Then we're also launching Ink Together, which is like a tattoo Tinder, so to speak. It's a new dating site.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I
that
haven't
sounds
dated in
pretty
years,
awesome.
so I'm kind of looking forward to see what we get in there. But hey, is that is
Yeah.
that a conflict of interest because I own the company? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I can't do that. Would that be sexual harassment? Who knows? But yeah. So that dating site, we're really diving in and asking some questions and expecting some uploaded pictures of people actually being tattooed, not some old geeky looking men trying to gawk at these hot little young chicks. Like, we don't want it to be uncomfortable when you get on that site. We actually want to find what we're looking for, you know. And with that, we're doing the productions for the tattoo dating game for fun at conventions. We're choosing 13 conventions that we're attending. We're attending 20 to 40 across the board because we're sponsoring some tattoo artists along the way. But I'm personally going to do 13 of them, and that's where we're filming the tattoo dating game, which is going to be tons of fun. It's going to put like a nice fun spin to it, especially with all the morbidness that we got out of the pandemic and everything. I want to bring a little bit of like vibration into a convention, some fun, some love, you know, let's spread the love, you know, let's just keep it like for real, like for real. So it's going to be fun. So that I really like. So we've got all those projects going on. But one of my favorite, I have to say, is our tattoo arts petition. And we're trying to get a petition nationwide to implement tattoo art in the art history schools curriculums. So I want
Oh.
people to start taking us seriously because we're the second oldest form of art. And nobody's really acknowledging that in the schools or showcasing the fact that after hieroglyphics comes tattoo art, you know?
I have lots of questions.
Yes.
First is, where are the conventions you're planning on going to? Are they East Coast? Are they West Coast, Midwest, everywhere? How can people figure out where you're
Well,
going
if
to
you
be?
go on our website, you'll start seeing it in the next 3 to 4 months. I'll have them all booked and up and running because I like to do things ahead of time. So, but I have to tell you, our first show, which I'm really excited about because I became really good friends with the producer, Lisa. She's amazing. She's putting together a tattoo convention for a nonprofit. So it's like a fundraiser at the same time. So you're contributing to society, which is great. And that one's the Florida Gulf Coast Tattoo Expo, and that's in Fort Myers on at the end of June, June 23rd, the weekend of June 23rd. I'm really excited about that because number one, I get to do a road trip because although I like flying to conventions, but road tripping is just so much more fun. You know, you got the music,
Different
even though
experience.
it's only 2 hours, but still, 2 hours is good. So we're doing that one. We're doing Heat Wave in Texas. We definitely plan on doing some villain art ones because Troy kicks ass and he does probably the best conventions across the nation. Seriously, he does amazingly. Aside from Hell City, which is like one of the top notch ones, also, and Evergreen, which I think Joshua Carlton does that one. I'm not sure, but we're gonna do a lot nationwide. We're hitting East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, definitely Vegas. You know, we're really trying to like cover the board. That's why we're doing 20 to 40 conventions. So our name will be there, but the top 13 will only be covered by me and the main team. Our spokesmodel and host for the dating game is Hawk, which is a former Miss Ink America. She was a Suicide Girl and the Gypsy Queen, Model Mayhem, and she knows everybody in the industry. She's been around for like 15 years also. She's hot, she's still young, she's vivacious. So we're waiting on her to recover from. She was sick for a little while, so she's finally recovering. Great news, thank God. And she's gonna be back on track. She's quirky and funny and adorable, you know, and she's gonna be great to host it. I'm a little too bitter. Like, I'll be like, red flag, kick him out, you know?
Yeah.
And she'll be cute. Like, she, even when she's insulting you, she sounds adorable. You know what I mean? On me, not so much, you know? So I'm excited about that. And it's just fun. We really need to do something fun. Eventually, we're producing the tattooed, not so newlywed odd couples. So we're going
Mm.
to pick tattoo artists that are married with their wives. They've been doing the tattoo convention circuit because they live an interesting life. It's not like, oh, I come home from 9 to 5. They're like opposite. It's like rock stars and families wrapped up into one. It's insane. You know, all the stories that you hear from them. You know, and most of the wives are like handling business at the shop for the male artists, you know, and there are plenty of female artists that have their counterpart being males or females. That's another thing we're also doing in the magazine. We're going to be doing an LGBTQ plus issue
Mm.
showing how the gay community has now come forward and really strived in the tattoo industry. But they'll tell their journeys on how it was really hard to even get tattooed back in the days. So I really like the fact that the world is evolving, even though it may not seem like it because there's so much conflict. But sometimes things have to burn to be able to flourish, you know. And I feel like, you know, all those burning emotions that everybody's going through is just going to help us grow, you know.
Yeah, and it seems it's really cool that you're trying to get the. I mean, obviously, the tattoo industry has evolved a ton over the last 20 years and gone from what everyone stereotyped as a tattoo shop to. I mean, it's still taboo. There still are the stereotypes from people not in the industry, but it's an entirely different culture. Like you said, different level of talent, different caliber of people, and it's really cool that you're showcasing that instead of, I guess, the more traditional tattoo magazines, which are, you know, I wouldn't say all the same, but it sounds like you're trying to do something different.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to put a spin on it. I feel that the world is finally catching up to me. So I was already poly when poly wasn't a thing. You know, I was already an exhibitionist when everybody said that, you know, think freely sexually. You know, been there, done that. You know, back in the days, it was only outlaws, prostitutes that got tattooed and bikers. And people have learned to come to love that, the tattoos and how the tattoos have evolved and turned into art, not just little stamp figures, which is really cool. And I think people in general became widespread on different types of people, demographics, whether it's classism or, you know, whether they make more money, don't make more money. Like, everybody's getting tattooed. You know, it's not like just the degenerates. I did go through a moment in my life, that my tattoo life, I should say, where I felt like, why all these kids getting heavily tattooed? They didn't earn it, you know, because I had a rough life. So I felt like I earned it. Like back in the days, you know, you only got a sleeve because you earned that. Like, you live the outlaw life, you live that
Hmm.
life, you know? And now I love the fact that you don't have to be, but I do caution the younger people not to get so heavily tattooed because you never know who you are, who you marry, what your child's going to be like, and how vulnerable they're going to be, or the discrimination is going to be involved in it, whether it's work or in your kid's school. You know, it's still touch and go. Like, there's still a lot more people that need to evolve. But again, I also believe that it's your body. You do what you want with your body. You know what I mean? I have my own preferences. I personally won't get my face tattooed, but I see lots of beautiful people that have. And then there, I've seen some that don't look so good with it. But, you know, I was married to somebody who was heavily tattooed in their face. So I know the good and the bad that comes with that. You know, the bad, you feel like you're a circus act when you're going out, you know, to your kid's soccer game until people get to know you. Then they're fine with it, you know? But you know, there's some things that I'm still a little old school on. Like, I don't do the numbing cream, but I might lie because in a year I might be like, I'm not doing more than 4 hours. I need some numbing cream. So we never know how that might change. You know? So
Yeah.
but I do with the magazine, like I said, we're trying to be a socially conscious magazine. So our first issue, it was real important to me to have a main topic about it. So we touched on ink therapy, sobriety, and mental health, which is a topic
Mm.
that's never been dove into. It's been mentioned here and there, almost like a trinket. to a magazine, but never as in the base of a magazine. And the stories I heard of how some of these artists have overcome and have actually tried to help others, the journey is just amazing. I have my special journey that I went through. I did dedicate my magazine to three of my close friends that I saw them at their worst, and now I get to see them at their best. Anna Russo, Kim Signoretti, and Carol Antonopoulos, which I love dearly. And to see them sober is amazing. I went through my own journey. I'm California sober. I'm not like, full on sober.
Yeah.
But I gave up, like, discipline was a big thing in my life before I launched this magazine for like 3 years. I focused on fixing all my bad habits, readjusting my attitude, readjusting my mindset, living a life of totality, as my client would say. It's his thing. He's a motivational speaker, and I get to hear a lot of cool shit from him. So having the evolution makes my job now, it may seem like I'm doing 10 million things, and I am to the most average eye, but it doesn't feel stressful. I actually take 2 siestas a day. Siestas, meditation, mind blocking, mind rehacking, whatever you want to call it. But I live a very great quality of life. Not about the money and riches, never have been. So I don't need Dolce Prada or any of that stuff. I'm quite happy with great music, great conversation, and creativity in my life, family, and love. That's all I need, really. And my cell phone, because I'm addicted to that. That's the one addiction I haven't given up. That one keeps getting worse with all this stuff. But yeah, so the whole mental health and stuff like that. I had great supporters prior to me leaving the industry for a little bit, um, which was Suffolk Beast, Mario from the Hells Angels. Great supporter. He always gave me a word to the wise on how to like level up, and he always had faith in me. So I dedicated part of my magazine to him too, and of course my sister, because my sister rocks. Without her, I would have never have learned how to adult, because I just didn't do that. Adulting for me was just not a thing. But I love the magazine. Our next issue is our women's issue. So that one's going to be another dear thing to my heart, because I'm a feminist and an activist. We are having Shanghai Kate, the godmother of tattoo, on there. Even though we are interviewing some celebrities, female celebrities, we're going to put Shanghai Kate because she deserves that platform. And she just passed away this year, sadly. But she taught me some really cool things, and I stole a line from her, which was, I used to say in my 30s when I met her, "Oh, I'm like a cougar these days." And she goes, "Nah, I'm like a saber-toothed tiger." So now that I'm getting all that gray hair and shit, I'm like a saber-toothed tiger.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be back on the platform of on stage and communicating with an audience and stuff. I really missed it, because that's where I feel most comfortable in, is communicating with an audience and engaging with people in general. And now we get to do it like virtually, which is amazing. It's like a whole nother thing. It's like an audience for anybody, and as big or small as you are, it doesn't matter. You can be anywhere and touch so many people. You know,
Yeah, it's definitely cool. And I mean, especially since COVID, when it became such a bigger thing,
you
I
froze
feel
on
like a
me.
lot of podcast launch things, people were just stuck in their
Are
homes, a
you
lot
there?
more of this video chatting. And obviously, COVID sucked. It was terrible. Um, but it did revolutionize
I don't know what
a lot of the way
happened.
people
You froze on
communicate and do
me.
business and stuff like that, which, um, like you said, has allowed
Should I
people to
jump
reach an
right in
entirely
again?
new audience, which is awesome. So we were talking about like the industry changing and using like Zoom and being able to reach a whole different audience um, than was possible because there was no Zoom. Podcasts weren't a giant thing. Um, and
Yeah,
yeah,
as a matter of fact, we're going to be, like I said, we're a little different than most magazines, where we are giving conventions a 3-tier program they can pick out of, to have us, at their convention to cover for their event. So one of the things that our top tier is, obviously we're going to bring the wow factor with the dating game. the dating site and the magazine and the podcast, filming on site. We're also offering them a mini issue of their convention on that package. And we're also putting together their after parties. So we'll be producing the official after parties for some conventions. And I know it's a lot, it seems like a lot, but I feel like when you're a magazine nowadays, you're basically a media you're like a media ensemble, so to speak. So what we do is you could have the top tier gets gets it on the print, gets it on the digital, gets it on our website, which will be like a nice hub of information. It's going to be constantly going, and then also our social media. So then conventions can pick different options, whether they want the top tier, the middle tier, which is on the digital, on the website, and the social media, and then lastly the bottom package, which would only be the social media and the website, and that's it. So they have different levels, and for somebody to get like a full article, I mean a full issue for their convention, it's a pretty deep thing because there's a lot that goes on in one convention. It's just that no magazine can cover the whole thing because that'd be like 100 million pages. So between that and everything else that they got to cover, so we're doing specific limited edition only for the conventions that do our diamond tier. So that way we'll be covering everybody who wins the tattoo contest. So there'll be a listing again, so people know who are award winners. Their entertainment. We'll interview the producer, any musicians that are participating, any seminars, or any VIP artists that are attending or showcasing artists. And then also some sponsors, which also give the tattoo conventions an extra avenue to put their sponsors' information out there for them. So we have that package for the conventions, but we also have one that we're starting in 2023, which we're connected to an affiliated company that's been into the the digital event concept. And they've been around since maybe a decade or more. But I heard about them like 8 years ago from a dear friend of mine when I worked at Inked Magazine. And I wasn't ready. I put it on the shelf for a little bit, but now I'm ready. So with that company, we're going to put together a production team for certain conventions that want to monetize their convention virtually, because now you have so many followings that are not just, the 500-mile radius around you or the 200-mile radius around you. Now you're getting people that are looking at your pages that are from China, Russia, Italy, Australia, and this gives them the thing. So anyways, I was saying how tattoo conventions can monetize their virtual viewers, because let's say there's a tattoo artist that's in Europe at a convention, but they have a client that's heading to that convention that has this package of mine, and they'll sign up for the $8, $10, because you're charging $20 at the door, so you could charge $10 to view online, and they can see the other competitors, the other artwork. So we would have a station at the tattoo contest. We'd be the filming and interviewing the entertainers, and then we have what I call a side chick. And that side chick is basically your convention buddy that walks around with her phone as she has the audience with her, and she goes through every booth and talks to people and to the artists, looks at portfolios, and it's like you're chilling with her. And then you can enter the room where it's the VIP questionnaire, which you have artists that the person behind the camera is interviewing and stuff like that, celebrity artists, the convention owner, some sponsors. And what helps again is in that site that we're using, that program, you get to buy product from the sponsors that convention owner has right on the site. And in that platform, people can create their own little talking rooms where they can communicate with the audience. They could see who the audience is and say, "Hey, would you join in? Can you want to join in? We're having a conversation about so and so, about that tattoo that we just saw," and they join in. Of course, you have to agree to it. You know what I mean? Make sure nobody's shady. There's also somebody monitoring that there's nothing inappropriate going on, so the monitor just boots them off. But my production team makes sure that you're basically at the convention without having to be there. So a lot of convention owners may say, "Well, I want people going to conventions, not be seeing it, viewing it on top." But why hold yourself back from making money from all those viewers that can't fly, can't get a visa, can't afford it, is homebound, is sick, is in the hospital, you know what I mean, is all the way on the other side of the country, they might have the $10 and be like, I want to see it that day. I want to see what it feels like. So I think eventually, once I introduce this to the industry, it's going to evolve where everyone's going to wind up doing it as well. You know what I mean? So, but in the beginning, I know we're going to have a little struggle getting people on board, but I think when they see the potential for their sponsors and for their pocket, they're going to want to take it in and really be a part of that evolution, because it's coming, whether we like it or not. Zoom is doing really good. This platform is better than Zoom because you get to have hundreds upon thousands of viewers watching what's going on. So you're not limited to, what is it with Zoom? How many people can you have on Zoom?
So it's 100 unless, and then even that's, so it's 100 if you want to pay like X amount of dollars, which is it's like 5 times the cost of this. And then if you want to go over that, it just exponentially grows. And yeah, Riverside, it's, I think 1,000 if you have the lowest tier package. So this is how we do our webinars too. It works amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Huge difference.
So the program we use, yeah, you can do thousands and thousands. So a lot of Fortune 500 companies usually use them. And I've been speaking to the owner about how I want to break it through to the tattoo industry, because I feel it would be a great asset. Not only that, you could do seminars instead of limiting yourself to maybe the 20 person per room capacity. You know, these artists can say, hey, we're doing a seminar and here it goes. You can pay online and you'll see it all. And it could be thousands upon thousands. You know what I mean? So, and you could do it remotely, which is really great. So that's one thing that we're doing differently. I very much appreciate, I've written for most of the magazines except for Inked. But I worked as their event planner and I did ad sales with them. And I enjoyed working for Don, and I think his business model as far as using social media is great. Right now we're starting up, so we're slowly getting our numbers up. We're still looking for our fourth partner. Anybody who does social media, by the way, but needs to know the industry circuit well. So, we're waiting for somebody to take over that reins for me, because I've got a lot on my plate. So with that, we're slowly building up, because we will be following the business model that Inked has done. I think it's great. He knows what he's doing. Well, he sold it recently, actually, Don. But he owned Nylon and some other magazines, so he really knew what it was like to run a magazine. Then you have the old timers like Skin and Ink and Skin Art. They're great and everything. And then, of course, the best of the best. And I know I'm a magazine owner, but nobody tops Tattoo Society magazine. That's the echelon of magazines, which is great because we needed somebody to set that standard. And they do. You know, they're not as commercialized as Inked Magazine. But then again, everybody knows who Inked Magazine is. You know what I mean? But any artist who's an artist knows Tattoo Society. You know, so I think they're all doing really well. I just wanted to be the new kid on the block with a different mindset, because I am. Most of these magazines are owned by men. And although I have 2 male partners, they're awesome, and they kind of let me take the lead half the time. I'm a bit of a control freak, but they're so easy to work with. They're awesome. Yeah. They do their part 150%. They're really great to work with, which I really enjoy. You know, they're not, you know, male motivated driven. They're very ethical. And they're kind men, both of them, you know, are really kind men, family men, which is really cool. I'm the bitchy one, actually. So I'm the pain in the butt one. But like I said, we're a little different. So we want to give conventions opportunity. We want to hear everybody's journey. We want to hear influencers to celebrity artists, to celebrities in general, to old-time pioneers, which is really important to us. To the movers and shakers, including high tech stuff. Like, we're going to be interviewing you soon about what you do, which I think is really cool, because one of the first questions I asked you is, are you tattooed? You know, so, and I was very pleased to hear that you are heavily tattooed, which is awesome. Yeah. Because you're an industry person monetizing from your culture, because it's yours. You know what I mean? Where I feel like the tattoo industry is very hesitant to allow the normies coming in and capitalizing on the hard work and sweat and tears that we've gone through already. But it's going to happen because we are no longer the misfits. Now we're like, the cool kid in the class,
Hmm.
so to speak, So everybody wants to be us at this point, and some of us wear it well and some of us don't. But that's okay. To each his own. They can
Yeah.
do them, So I want to see the evolution in tattooing, like we've seen in the machines and the inks that have evolved, the techniques. Some of these geniuses are basically born genius artists. They do tattooing for 2 years and they're doing work that men that and women that have done for 30 years, which is amazing. We just had Brandon Bond discuss that in his article, and Brandon
Hmm.
Bond is also another close friend of mine. Always supported my stuff and I've always supported his, and he's got a bit of a reputation like I do, like people just can't handle and people that are strong, and but his work speaks for itself. His work is phenomenal, but he's humble enough to say when he sees a genius and how impressed he is by these new kids on the block, just like
Hmm.
conquering the artwork and the techniques. It's amazing. And then these machines and these new aftercare products are revolutionary, which I love. Which, speaking of, we have a female on board with the aftercare product called Urban Ink, Stacy. Urban's Edge. Stacy's product is amazing. She's gonna be up there with Hustle Butter, H2 Ocean, and After Inked. Like, she's gonna be conquering the tattoo convention scene for sure. What I like about her product is that her product is she was actually in the skin industry for over 14 years, and she went to school for art. And as I was telling you about my uncle Cheech,
Hmm.
she worked with him. So it's some weird 6 degrees of separation. She
Yeah.
displayed his artwork in her art gallery, which was amazing, which we didn't realize until we met. And then she recently just sent me a picture of her and him and his art, which is amazing. But she's great. You guys check out her aftercare. It's really cool. But also like conventions, like a lot of women are taking over, and they're handling everything. Like some of them, the husbands are the ones who are in the industry, but these women are like doing some boss bitch shit. Like they're really kicking ass, which I really like to see. Some of these young kids too. One thing I'd like to see in a change in the industry is I'd like for all of us to commit to trying to change the health department regulations where it's unified nationwide,
Mm.
because there's so much discrepancies going on back and forth with these different counties and health departments that aren't educated enough to be able to really run or even look over a shop if it's following its health department regulations, because they're creating things out of nowhere. They have no clue what they're doing. I wish these health departments would take some guidance, have some tattoo shops that have been there for a long time and that run a really tight ship, because I really feel like since different counties and states were legalized at different times, there and some of them haven't really caught up to what really it should be like. Tattoo shops should be addressed like a dentist office, not like a hair salon. And I
Mm.
feel there's a lot of confusion there, and that's where we're bringing up a lot of scratchers, because there's not high standards set for people. Like literally, I think just like you get a license, you can't get a CDL license unless you're really looking at that book, and that book is thick and it's
Yeah.
hard. You got to really study that shit to get a CDL license. I feel that that's the way it should be for tattooing. The standard needs to be put higher, but um, we as tattoo industry community and industry need to start making those changes, not waiting for somebody to do it. So that's one thing I'd like to see changed in the industry. So hopefully, and then that way we can weed out the scratchers, and we need to educate our schools, because now that's basically like saying, you could do this and this and ruin your life. If you don't pick the proper artist, or you get tattooed by your friend down in the basement, whatever, you can get MRSA, you can get staph, you can get HIV, you can get Hep C. I mean, and now, who knows, now coronavirus, whatever, you know what I mean? There's so many viruses popping up out of nowhere. You want your kids to be safe instead of having these parents say, yeah, I'll get you a tattoo gun. which kills me. Online, which kills
Yeah,
me.
off
You
Amazon.
know,
Yeah.
they need to say, first of all, it's a tattoo machine. And just like I'm not going to get you a rifle without teaching you, I'm not going to give you a tattoo machine without you not taking the proper procedures. I don't know about the school system thing so much. I think it's just very touch and go thing. I haven't really seen a school that is worthy to say it's a tattoo school. I think the concept and idea is revolutionary, but it needs to be done by the right people.
Mhm.
And maybe having like a committee of the elites and the people that are in the industry of the selling the products, like suppliers and stuff like that should get involved in that. There is Inventing the Tattoo, which is a podcast and a site, and that's run by a lot of the elites in the industry, and they have a lot of different, seminars going on and educational videos. I think they're really good. If they opened up a school and franchised it, I'd be sold. I'd be selling it all over the place. I'd be begging people to put it in their state or in their county. If anything, they should get together with the health departments. The department mandates you to take their courses. Just like the bloodborne pathogen should be either, the health department wants to do it themselves, but I always recommend Kathy Monte's, whatchamacallit. So Kathy Monte's site, which is the health department,
Mm.
so I feel like that we need to really tighten up our shit on that, because there's going to be one fucking idiot that's going to sit there and cross contaminate the wrong person, and then this industry is going to be shut down, which is going to suck. So hopefully it won't happen.
Yeah, it just takes one person who doesn't know the or doesn't care about the regulations. And I 100% agree about how it's so across the board. I'm going to completely butcher the state. It was Tennessee or Indiana or something that just legalized tattooing 10 years ago. And then I was talking to an artist, and again, I forget what state it's from, but like you don't even need any kind of a license to become a tattoo artist. And then there's all the ones in between. So it's such just a smorgasbord of, you know, there's no cohesion. There's no, this is a standard. This is what needs to be done. It's everything from 10 years ago. We didn't even want it in our state to, hey, you can just open one up anywhere. You don't even have to talk to us. You don't need a license. Just go ahead and go do it. So I think finding a middle ground there that everybody can, it's safe and that isn't going to ruin it when somebody completely butchers, because it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, having that everybody be on the same level, I think would be huge. I think that's an amazing idea.
Absolutely. I'm hoping after our petition for the school curriculums, I'm hoping to launch that one as well, so we can lobby that in the laws and stuff. So, but we're going to need like a lot of numbers. So I want to see how many numbers we get with the art school thing. Obviously, that art school would pertain to colleges, because you don't really teach that history in high schools, the art history. They just like dabble on techniques basically. But if we do, that would be great. So I'm hoping like in 2025, I can start that other petition and get everybody on board, because it's important. I think all the other magazines should get on board. Even if I start it off, it doesn't matter who starts it off. I think what matters is that we're working as a team, and getting the supply companies and the magazines all involved should be a good thing, because everybody's just trying to do their best, with their magazines. And there's so much to cover, so there's plenty of room for all of us to be on the chopping block. I'll be on top though. Just kidding. All right, I'll
um,
be up there with the other two tops eventually.
yeah. Uh, so speaking of the bringing it into college, can we elaborate that a little more? Because I think, not only should it, if you're going to learn about art, you should be learning about that, but also being taught that like this is a great career. Like if you are a good artist, like you said earlier, there's kids that like they go to kids go to art school and they come out and there's these phenomenal artists within the first couple years, but in art school nobody tells them you can be a tattoo artist. You can make more money than you're going to do with anything else with an arts degree. Live a cool lifestyle as long as obviously you're professional and
And
take your craft
healthy.
seriously and healthy and take your craft seriously. And this is a really amazing career.
I believe that tattoo artists are the new version of rock stars. You know what I mean? So there were musicians before, there were warriors, and they were the rock stars, and now it's tattoo artists. And I see a lot of neurodivergent people becoming tattoo artists because it really suits their not so 9 to 5 job, which really works with neurodivergent people. I feel that if more people were accepted as tattoo artists, that there wouldn't be so many kids trying to self-sabotage themselves because they feel like they're not worthy based on their public's opinion, so to speak, or their family's opinion. I think that now that we're already popular and we're not going nowhere, obviously, I feel that starting in high school would be really nice to have that almost like on career day. Like, why not? And then use that opportunity to open discussion with these young kids about the health risks of allowing somebody to tattoo you that's not qualified or doesn't follow health department regulations, because doing it in a basement with products that you don't know are good or not good is basically opening yourself up for danger and dismemberment. You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to destroy your body? That is your temple. Like, we're doing that enough with all the vices we have. Let's take this vice of ink addiction into an ink therapy where, like my magazine says, we're called InkVasion, but the IV is in capital, so we're IV for short. We want to be everybody's new healthy addiction. And I feel that tattooing in general can be society's new healthy addiction, where they're transcending their pain, suffrage, and traumas into art and beauty and fulfillment. And it can be very therapeutic. I mean, bartenders, hairdressers, they were like the therapy session for most people who didn't go to therapy. Now we have therapy, but sometimes this is even better. You're getting tattooed, you're feeling the pain, and the pain physically is better than the emotional pain that you've been going through. And but by the time you're done with that tattoo, you're almost transformed into an evolutioned human being that conquered that pain through that tattoo, because you did that tattoo, excuse me, to kind of transform yourself into a positive human being instead of feeling the negative out of that trauma. So I think showcasing it to the kids would be really good, because a lot of these kids that don't so much fit in because they're neurodivergent or they have some disorder or they're not the popular kid in the class, but they're super talented, may find some empowerment in that. And I think that we really need to start pushing our kids to find empowerment on what works best with them. You know what I mean? Like, my daughter is a super genius. Great artist, great musician, great student, great at everything. My son, not so much, because he had severe ADHD. But he was a great artist. He drew Pennywise at the age of like 7 or 8. That I didn't believe him. I had to call the boys club and be like, "Did he really draw this?" And they were like, "No, he really did." And I was like, "No way!" Like, genius. You know what I mean? And it's funny because then I said, "You know what? For me, you don't need to be with my daughter. I raised her where there was no mediocrity allowed in our household, but I was in a different mindset. With my son, thanks to the help of my sister of like really seeing things differently from a different outlook, she said, he's not heaven. You can't expect him to be your daughter heaven. Memphis is Memphis. And she said, you have to accept him for who he is. And he's actually a lot like you. And my daughter's my favorite, but I love my son the most because he's more like me. And I know the struggles he goes through with society and being normal, and his talent. I'm just like, I'm trying to really get him back into it because now he's into computers and videos and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to really push him into it because it really helped him out. Like, it empowered him when everybody else was telling him he was a fuck up. He was like, I'm a great artist though, and now he has his own YouTube channel. So he's like conquering other things that I never thought he would. And he's a natural at it. He's got tons of videos. I heard it the other day. I was like, damn, you're doing good there. But let's throw some art in there because he wants to go to conventions with me. But my rule is you can't go to conventions with me until you show me 6 months of you doing art every other day for at least 15 minutes. All I need is 15 minutes because once he gets caught up on the art's going to take over his mindset. He's going to be like, no, wait, Mom, I need more time. He's going to wind up saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that'll happen. And like I said, he's like me. I struggled because back then we didn't have disorders. It wasn't heard of or spoken of, or very few people, or you were just considered the loony bin chick. You
Mhm.
know, and with you know, and I felt like an outcast, and I made a lot of poor choices. Because I was an outcast. But ironically, I felt very comfortable in my outlaw bad bitch skin, to the point where I still do, but I no longer live the lifestyle. I'm a retired bad girl. But I think that I wouldn't have gone through so many traumas and insecurities if somebody would have said, "Hey, you're not bad for the way you're doing things. You're just different, and that might work for you, and that's fine. That works.
Mhm.
Just make it work." Where now I don't want a 9 to 5er. I'd rather have 10 million mini jobs so I can kind of flow through my whole entire day
Mhm.
the way I want to. I take 2 siestas a day, but I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm not done until midnight.
Yeah.
So I only sleep 5 hours, if that, depending how many times he wakes me up. So to me, that works for me and I like it. And I'll hustle and work ass for like 3 weeks straight, literally grinding where I'm like, heat yourself some food. I'm not even there. I'm not even cooking anything. And all of a sudden, like I'll like be sleeping or napping for a week straight after that. And people are like, "Are you napping?" I'm like, "No, my mind's running. It's working. It's all over the place. It's organizing. It's like setting everything, every event from beginning to end in my mind." And all of a sudden I'll jump up and I'll be like, for 3 days straight, I'll be like, "Da-da-da-da-da-da." I know exactly what I want. But I'm an organized freak. Like MindMeister and Evernote are in my
Mhm.
life immensely. Like those organize all my projects. If anybody checks them out, I should be a spokesperson for them too, because like I'd give up my child before those two. No, I wouldn't. No, it's really good. So go ahead. What else?
um, let's see. So let's talk about your podcast for a little bit. So are you guys already recording that? Is that something that's
So
coming up soon?
so what we're doing is I'm looking at the box that I'm supposed to undo so I can set up my stuff. I have footage from when I interviewed the old timers back at Mario Bart's convention, Inked Out, New Jersey. And I'm going to be putting some of that up first, just to kind of give a small introductory. We're going to get Ashanti's producer, Marvin Floyd, who's going to be doing my intro and my outro music. So that way I want like a really nice rocker vibe, kind of makes you want to get on, that podcast
Yeah.
sound. And then we're going to launch on the weekend that we do the tattoo convention in Fort Myers,
Mhm.
because I figured that'd be a great place to launch, and it buys me a little bit of time because I've been avoiding those boxes. I'm not a tech person, so I've literally had to teach myself a lot on the internet lately, and it's a little intimidating because I'm 50, so I think I know it all, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to conquer something I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like putting together the magazine, like I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I know how to connect people and put things together and organize things, but I didn't know how to do the graphics area.
Mhm.
And we're going to wind up hiring somebody to do the graphics area, but for now we're making do, because this is being funneled by the three of us, and we're all working parents that take care of households, so we got to do what we got to do as we goes along. But I think it came out really good. We're resizing the first batch. We got like 50 just to see what it looked like. It was great. I just need to do a highlight behind the name because I feel like it's like melting into the picture, and I don't want
Mhm.
it to. I want it to bounce a little bit. And then I missed a photographer. I forgot to add in, but we edited it. And then the lining, I had two white lines in the sides. Some people said it looked fine. I don't. I'm a perfectionist, so we resized it because I literally didn't even know resizing. Like, what size pictures you have to send. I had to like Google it and triple ask 10 million other people to make sure I was making the right choice. So it was like a learning experience for me. My web guy isn't really a creative guy, so he was like, I'm having a little trouble with this because I was going to have him upload it after I did the articles and this and that, and with everybody else, and got everybody together. But I was like, all right, let me just give it a try. You know what I mean? I know exactly nobody knew what order we need to do it except for me. So I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? Let me do a mock one, and then we'll take it from there. And then we said, you know what? This is good. Let's just work with this. But I'm hoping as we evolve and we start getting more ad sales, and we're looking for a big company to sponsor us for the tattoo tour, which I won't mention right now. So I'm crossing my fingers on them, but it should be a level up for us and for the community as well. So we're waiting on that. So hopefully that'll fund a little bit of the other stuff. But our booth is going to be a lot of fun because the 13 conventions that I'm doing with the top team, they we're gonna have like a lounge space area. We're gonna really try to invite you to come in into that space and feel like you're in a new place. So what we're trying to do is we're gonna have a photo booth of our magazine where you go into it, and the clear banner in the front has, you know, the name of the magazine as if it was the front page of a magazine. And then you could take pictures, and we'll be giving out, you could either do your own selfies with your friends, or you can get a printed version of the logo of us and the convention that we're attending, thanking you for participating. And then you can take that home, put it on your refrigerator. We also have our little podcast corner that we're going to have, and then we're going to have one table with our merchandise, and then we're going to have a kiosk where you could literally see what's going on, our commercials, and then if you want to sign up to be a contestant on the podcast, on the dating site, or subscribe for the dating site, or subscribe for the magazine, or become a model, or submit that, or an artist that wants to, you know, submit their artwork, you could do it right there, because our kiosk, you'll be able to touch it. It'll be touchscreen, and our QR code will come in, and you can log in, and you could do it right there on site. We'll be doing photo ops also for people. So we want to get as much content as possible. And we're going to be putting online contests a couple of weeks before that for contestants for the show, and as well as video vixens for the weekend. So we're going to get two of the hottest girls out there that get the most votes to come in, and we're going to slap one of our shirts on them, and they're going to be doing cool interviews, you know, throughout, and hanging out with the VIP people, going to the after party under the VIP section, and they're going to get showcased in the magazine as well. So, you know, everybody can be a tattoo socialite, you know what I mean, for that weekend. Well, whoever wins, that is, can be a tattoo socialite. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it because we get to engage our audience, you know, and it's not going to be where our table's separating us. We're actually not having a table up front. We want it where it's like a U-shaped, where you're coming in, you're hanging out. We have chairs, seating area. You know, we want people to like really ask questions and be there and be like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. We want to turn it into a high-tech, fun, you know, corner. So it should be fun.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it will be a lot of fun.
It is. I can't wait for you to
Yeah.
come to our booth.
Yeah, it sounds like it will be cool. It definitely sounds different than any other booth I've heard of or seen at a convention. So,
Yeah,
sounds like
that's what
it'll
I
be
want.
pretty
I
cool.
want a wow factor. I don't want to be just like everybody else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I want everybody, and when I go to conventions, I'm very personable with all the artists. Like, I don't just go and just chill and just at the bar we hang out and we talk and we shoot the shit. I have an assistant of mine who comes with me, and she does the rounds real quick and does some research for me. And then I literally take like one of the days specifically, I'll take half of that day where I'll go to every single booth, and I'll have a conversation with them to see where I could fit them in. Like, maybe they're a new artist, maybe the design of their shop or studio is like new and cutting edge and different. Maybe this guy's tattoo artist and he lost an arm or whatever, you know what I mean? So I want to like engage with each artist and see where I could fit them best and how I can push them out there into the industry and give them a little bit of an extra boost, you know, in the convention and from the convention into social media, you know. So, and she's great because I talk a lot. Can you tell? So she stops me from talking too much. She gives me 10 minutes with each person, and she'll literally, like, she's so good at it that we were at a convention in Florida last year, and I was doing my rounds, and I was talking to the guy, and he said, yeah, you know, our other shop. She goes, yeah, they lost the other shop because of the flood, da, 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 da. And I was like, and the guy that I was talking to was like, wow, how did you know that? I said, she's good. she has all this research for me before I even get to you. And all of a
That's
sudden she
awesome.
tapped me and she was like, and he was like, you gotta go. She's like, yeah, her time's up. She only gets 10 minutes with each person. Cause otherwise I will shut the fuck up. I know I won't. And she
uh,
knows I won't. So to get to everybody, I literally take my time, every single person, and I collect a business card or stickers, whatever they have, from every single booth. I collect two, one for my pile and one for my backup pile. And then we put that all into a spreadsheet. So we have like an email listing,
Smart.
and that I always did, even with the Gypsy Queens, the sisterhood I had. And that's how we really became known, because I went like balls to the wall. Like I had our team like research every single shop of every single state of every single city. You know what I mean? So each chapter had that responsibility. And then at every convention, the girls had to pick up two business cards from every single booth. And then that's how, and we would just send mass email blasts from each girl. Back then, I didn't know about MailChimp. So we were just like hustling it ghetto style.
That's
I mean,
a
we
good
grew up
idea.
with
Yeah.
MySpace. Like we didn't have
Yeah.
any of that cool technology yet.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good idea. I like that. And I know when you and I were talking before this, that was something that you had mentioned is, if you're working with artists and shops and you're going to a convention, like get everybody's name, get everybody's number, everybody's email, especially, what you're doing, what I'm trying to do is to help these studios. So it's not like there's this nefarious like motive behind it. Like you generally want to help. You want to help this industry. You want to help these shops. You want to, help, I guess, the average society, it seems like, have a better view, or at least have tattoo studios and tattooed people be less taboo, um, which is awesome, which is an awesome motivation. And it definitely, I mean, it's getting there, but man, it's not moving fast.
I know it's not moving fast enough for me either.
Yeah.
Like I feel it needs to be. I've always been an advocate to the industry, and I think a lot of that has to do with you know, I was either a retrograde or an outlaw or a misfit in society. So, like, I felt that this was home for me. You know what I mean? I've worked in the rock industry also. I feel at home there. The biker industry and the tattoo industry, and the tattoo industry is more me. It's me being able to use my voice as a tool to expand the minds of others. So being the fact that I got the gift of gab, thank God, and I have a strong personality because I'm a New Yorker and I'm Colombian.
Oh
I
shit.
feel, yeah, that's an interesting mix, right? I feel that I didn't start living a positive life, I think, until I was in the tattoo industry. Because a lot of my poor choices were made, um, when I was doing fucked up shit. But when I became when I got into the tattoo industry, right before that, I was in the music industry. I was actually a stripper.
Okay.
And I thought that at 15, I saw Girls, Girls, Girls video. And I said, I got the fuzzy feeling in my stomach when I watched it when she was stripping. The girls were stripping. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And then at 18, I went cross country and I became a stripper. And I was a stripper for 17 years. And I thought that that's what I had to do. That's it, because I was a high school dropout and a fuck up. And then the tattoo industry was my college, even though my family was against it because they didn't see any rewards to it. But I grew and I educated myself through the tattoo industry. I realized that I have a knack for getting people together and for people to hear my voice and it expanding through miles and miles and miles of people. And I realized, wow, I was like, I know how to do marketing now, productions, all this other stuff. And I told my mother when we were in documentary for tattooed women, she said, you're a disgrace to my culture. And I said to her, and she said, you're wasting your time in the tattoo industry. I said, Mom, I said, this was my college. I was like, so imagine these 5 years. I was like, this is my college and I'm doing something I love. And now my mom passed away, but we came to the resolution. She actually we cried during that episode, but she wore the biker outfit with the fake tattoos the following year. And it was our breakthrough. Like, she was like, now I accept you. I understand, which was really cool before she passed away. But now my sister, who's seen me from back then when my mother was like, no, she's wasting her time. Why is she doing that? now she's just like, my sister sees that I'm making money through the talents that I learned in the tattoo industry. So the tattoo industry for me was like a rebirth. I got to realize that I was more than just a stripper. You know, not that being a stripper is a bad thing, because I had my good times. Not that I think all these kids should be doing it though, because unless they want to pay for knee surgery and be traumatized, I don't really have trauma anymore. But I'll tell you one thing: I having a normal relationship from that world is really difficult because
Mm,
everything becomes transactional. So literally, I've given up men for a while now, and not because I don't love men, because I love men and women both. But I just feel like I need to do a reboot. So I needed to kind of cleanse myself from my own mindset and my
mm,
own like form of thinking to be able to introduce something loving and acceptable in my life that's not going to be transactional, because it's not so much that they turn it into transactional, concept. I do. I immediately go into that mode. You know what I mean? So a lot of these young girls don't realize that, sure, making a lot of money and being a stripper and everybody looking at you like you're the hottest shit in the world is fun for a hot minute. But then you don't really feel it when guys are touching you to touch you. You're just feeling guys touching
mm,
you all the time. You know what I mean?
mm,
So a touch on the elbow or the shoulder or a caress on the face is no longer meaningful, you know? So I see a lot of these girls saying, yeah, I love it. Strippers, look at all this money. Got my bag going. Yeah, your knees are going to be going soon with the
yeah.
stilettos, and your mindset. And if you didn't lose yourself in drugs and self, mutilation, you know, God knows what's going to happen to you. Why take the risk? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
I'm not going to jump in a pool full of sharks. You know what I mean? But then again, if you're trying to pay for your house that you're trying to buy, or your education, or you're taking care of children, or an ill parent that doesn't feel well, then go for it, girl. Go get your thing. Make it happen. But set a time date of when you don't want to do this anymore, and set a goal on how much you need to make and get out, and never do it for drugs and never do it for a man ever.
mm.
You know what I mean? So I feel that women need to, be educated on that, because they're not. But hey, those days were fun though. Who says bad girls don't have more fun? We do.
That's
We
right.
definitely have more fun.
That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, where do I go from there? I'm not sure. Um, so I've taken up almost an hour and 20 minutes of your time. Can you tell everybody before we go where to find you, where to find the magazine, the podcast, where you are on social, so everybody that's interested can look this up?
Absolutely. We're everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're InkVasion Magazine, so you can go on www.inkvasion.magazine.com to see the magazine. Same with inktogether.com to see the dating site. Um, Tattoo View is going to be under InkVasion Magazine because it's under the InkVasion Media, so to speak, because we are also working on a Roku tattoo channel that we're going to be putting up. So we are going to be collecting a lot of content. There's a couple of reality shows that I'm producing that are interesting new concepts that I'll be casting for, so people can look out for that. I'm under Frankie Scorpion Tattoo Socialite under all the socials, so you'll always find me everywhere. Eventually, we are relaunching a tattoo sisterhood called the Tattoo Socialite. So that's why we're introducing it with Tattoo Socialite of the Year, just to kind of get the buzz going first for a while. And I'd really enjoy if everybody come and check out my worlds, because my world, we've got tons of things and there's something for everybody. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it. And by the way, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to get you on my podcast.
Well, thank you so much for being here. That was awesome. There's a lot of cool stuff that you and your partners are doing in the tattoo industry, and I can't wait to see where that goes in the next 3 to 5 years, especially with the the federal stuff with tattoo shops and getting everything on the same level and it being in schools. Because I think that it it's an amazing idea. It should be done. It's an amazing career, and again, like you said, it's the second longest art form that we know of. So it should
Yeah.
be taught. So again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.